Culture shock came from that they didn't know what I was. First of all, you had to butch it up as much as possible. Today they're winning Emmys. They're 4 feet off the ground. They're flying and they're getting Emmys. But in those days, you better not even give a hint. The phrase was, "Oh, he's too light in the loafers."
I have a question for you regarding you being Latino and you being gay.
I'm gay?
I hate to tell
Now
you.
you tell me.
I have to tell you this. That because I haven't seen the show, but I'm assuming you're going to give us a whole background. But to be gay and be Latino and be Chicano and then go to New York, what was the culture shock for you? Or was it a culture shock?
It wasn't. I felt the day I arrived, I said, "Oh, that's why I don't like LA. I'm a New Yorker." Day I arrived, I knew that's where I belonged. Because let me tell you, when Carlos left after 3 months, I didn't know a soul. I didn't know anybody.
Wow.
And I had a job down on Wall Street with two old men and me, the runner. So it wasn't like I made friends at work, So the only friends I made were walking down the street and some gay man would pick you up and you go, "Oh, I have nothing else to do. Sure, let's go have dinner." And but I never once thought about coming home, ever. I knew that's where I was supposed to be. So I didn't have culture shock in that. The culture shock came from that they didn't know what I was. First of all, you had to butch it up as much as possible. Today they're winning Emmys. They're 4 feet off the ground. They're flying and they're getting Emmys. But in those days, you better not even give a hint. The phrase was, "Oh, he's too light in the loafers."
Right.
So that, so be trying, "Yes, how are you? I'm glad to see you, yes." And they didn't know what I was. And this was still very much the era of the blonde, blue-eyed juvenile. So they would say to my agent, "Well, we like him, but he's too Mediterranean." They didn't know what I was, but I certainly wasn't from Ohio.
Being in musical theater, did you at least find that there was more acceptance to being gay?
Oh my God. We used to make fun of the straight boys.
Okay.
Yes, of course. Yeah. That's why I'm saying it was never, because I'm like, I took a long time to become a Latino activist and a gay activist because I didn't have to once I was in New York. The Latino thing there, nobody really cared. Mm-hmm. I was in musical theater, so, and it's been a source of embarrassment that everyone I now know, they were marching, when they were 20. And I'm like, but you know what? I'm thinking if I lived in a Texas border town, I probably would have been marching. Mm-hmm. Or had I stayed in LA. But I didn't. Mm-hmm. So for 20 years, I was completely, neither issue was a thing to me. I was just about showbiz. That was it. It wasn't until I came back out.
You came out in 80 when the AIDS epidemic was starting to ravage the community.
Literally.
Because like by 85?
Oh, yeah.
85.
I lost my first friend to AIDS in about 83 or 4. And Carlos died in 89. Yeah, so those 80s were, you can't even imagine them unless you lived through them.
Yeah.
Young gay boys.
A lot of men during that. A lot of men in our circle.
Sure. You couldn't keep track. I remember I'd be talking to my friend in New York and they say, Terry died. I'm like, oh my God. Well, wait a minute. Didn't he die 3 weeks ago? No, that was Bill. Oh, Bill, you couldn't keep track.
Yeah, it was
You just
horrible.
Couldn't keep track. It was
horrible.
like this cloud that was.
Not only losing people, but the hush about it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I remember Roy London was my teacher for like 9 years. And when he got sick, the only reason I knew was because his housekeeper was cleaning house to a friend of mine who was also one of his students. And then we would just call him and leave him messages and just tell him we loved him. But nobody talked about it.
No.
Nobody shared. Nobody. So people would all of a sudden disappear, and then they were dead.
And they didn't know what it was. Don't
Yeah.
forget, for a good, maybe a year or two, they didn't even know what it was. The gay cancer, whatever the hell it was, but they didn't know what it was. And then they were saying things like the incubation period could be 20 years. Well, who hadn't had unsafe sex in 20 years? Never mind what it did to the artistic community, all that talent. We lost a whole generation of artists and performers and musicians and writers, an entire generation, which maybe explains why there's so much crap out there today. No, but there's some good stuff too. There's good stuff too. There's plenty of good stuff. But yeah, we did lose a whole generation.
So when you came back to Los Angeles and all of this stuff started happening, did you start then saying, okay, I'm going to get involved in the gay community or not?
No, I was too busy with the Latino.
Okay, so that was your focus.
That was my focus. And the gay activism didn't start till I wrote my show.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
because again, everybody knew I was gay, and I didn't care, and they were, it just I was busy with my life. It didn't.
The
that
bigger
time-
issue was Latino.
Yeah, that was the
stuff.
thing I was
Wow.
most pissed about, and it wasn't until, as I say, I wrote my show, and then I started to get very involved in it, and then of course specifically the gay Latino. It's not just the gay community, but it's the gay Latino. I have a radio show too, called the Gaytino Report.
And how can we
it's on
access it?
KPFK,
Oh, okay.
90.7. There's a radio program called, I'd love to talk about this. I am, the four letters, IMRU, get it? It is the longest running LGBTQ radio program in the nation.
Wow.
It's been running like since the
On
70s.
KPFK.
90.7 FM. And I did the show.
Do they archive it so that
Yes,
people who are listening
yes,
or watching can
right,
go and
yes,
Okay.
yes. I think on the website they keep things up to 30 days and then they're in the archives.
Okay.
So when I was doing Gaytino at LACMA, I did the show, and I was driving home. I thought, I wonder how many gay Latinos they've had on that program. And maybe they've had a lot, but probably not. So I'm driving, and I'm thinking, I don't know. So the next morning I called the producer. I said, listen, I'd like to do a segment. I can't do it weekly because my schedule's too crazy, but I could do it bi-weekly, 15 minutes, and I would talk only to Latino, gay and lesbian women, etc. So they jumped on it. So it's called the Gaytino Report, Voices from the Latino LGBTQ Community. And I've had performers, authors, educators, everything, doctors, everything from all walks of life, gay men, lesbian women. Dolores Huerta did it. She's not a lesbian. But I asked Dolores to do it because she has always been a champion for us, and her daughter Juanita is bisexual. And they're very close. And I love Juanita. So I asked Dolores to do it. And because, the early days of the UFW, gay men and women were marching right along Dolores. And because it was one marginalized group helping
Right,
another,
right.
And they returned the favor because the big march in Washington, the first such gigantic march, like 87, I think, gay rights, Cesar Chavez was one of those carrying the lead banner, and he
Wow.
spoke at
Wow.
that rally. Most people don't even
We don't
know
talk
that.
about that.
No, it's in my I do a presentation called Activism and the Arts: A Life Journey, and I talk about that particular thing and how my journey came to be first a Latino and a gay, and I have this whole thing about Caesar there. So I had her do the show. So I'm proud of that because I'm the voice for the Latino LGBT person right now. So I'm just trying to keep busy.
That's excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.